Good evening. I hope your exercise went well today, day one. And by went well, do I mean hope you made a few ticks? No, that's not going well. One of the things that I often say, in addition to what you may have heard yesterday with mental framework, along the lines of discussing our motivations for trading, we need to redefine what it means to win. What is winning? For most of us, when we sit down to trade, we think of winning as a winning trade, as making money on an individual trade or an individual session. That's winning the day. We have to redefine what it means to win. And we simply have to get out there and try to trade well according to our process and do the things that are within our control. And that has to be our definition of winning. So, for today, I hope you got out there and won. And by that, I mean I hope you were able to learn something about yourself. I hope you were able to, pass or fail, whatever you might give yourself as a grade for today, in terms of being able to see these opportunities, and in terms of, most importantly, being able to execute flawlessly, being able to get in where you're supposed to, set your targets and stops, do what you were supposed to, and then most importantly, that you were able to observe yourself during that sequence, that you journaled, that you did executions with affirmation. That's what I hope for you today. So, either way, if you found this effortless today, I saw some people in the chat say so. Good. That's great. You're probably close to an evolved human trader in at least some respects. On the other hand, if you found this really difficult today, outside of misunderstanding of maybe the methodology, quote unquote, here, that's also good. This is what we want. We want some people to struggle. We want you to find, you know what, I felt really strongly this here or that there or whatnot. Really struggled to do this, and I was able to learn something about myself throughout this process. You're going to get more clarity on when and where and how you need to work on your mental framework. And most of you are going to need to work on your mental framework beyond this week. It's just the focus this week. So I know there was some confusion on the system rules today. That's understandable. Some of this stuff is hard to make perfectly quantifiable, but we will clear that up right here, right now. But one thing is, ultimately, it doesn't matter if your rules end up being exactly the same as I intended for them to be or not. The only thing that matters is that you had objective rules to follow. No matter if you misunderstood them or not, it doesn't matter. The point here is that you think less about the analysis. You have less decisions to make around getting in and getting out. Therefore, you're able to observe yourself trying to execute, trying to trade. And that's the goal of this week. So, regarding the strategy, real quick, the slope of VWAP technically only matters on what we call the signal bar. The signal bar is the bar that gives the change in Heikin-Ashi following the prior 4 bars being the opposite color, right? So in the case of a short, like we might see right here, which by the way is an interesting trade because the slope went up, but then by the time we got to our signal bar, the gray bar heading down, the slope is again heading down as it has been predominantly. So the only bar where the slope actually matters is on the signal bar. On the signal bar, we say, do we have at least 4 bars prior that were in the opposite direction? In this case, we do. And on the signal bar, is the slope down? In this case, the answer is yes. So there's a short entry right from there. And there's a 2R gain down here. Okay. The other thing I suggest is, and I honestly forget how I structured it in the presentation, but let's put the stop beyond the swing, okay? The swing, the pivot, the rotation, the fractal, whatever you call it. So in this case, for this short, if you're getting in here, do not place the stop above the bar, the signal bar. Place the stop at or above the actual full swing, the highest point in that turning point. That's going to give you more of a chance to hang in some of these trades and experience that emotion of being in the trade and assessing it and journaling, right? So I want you not stopping out as quickly, which if you just use the stop beyond the signal bar, you're going to stop out a whole lot more quickly and a whole lot more often. So here is, from what I saw, there were 11 entries, right? Slopes generally heading down. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4 bars and then a shift. So you get short here, stop back up here. Targets down there. That was a 2R gain. Here, the slope starts to get up and down. So what really matters is there is no signal here, because on this turning point down after 1, 2, 3, 4 up bars, so this could be a signal, but on this signal bar, the slope was still up, so there's no trade. Here we get at least four down bars and then an up bar where the slope is up. That's a signal, and that's ultimately a stop out. Now, what's interesting here is that we don't get this. If you traded perfectly today, you didn't get this short signal. Why is that? Well, that's because we said if you're in a trade, in this case, you would have a stop here, you would have an entry here, and you would be targeting 2R, which is right here, okay? Well, guess what? This entry comes right here, and you're in a trade. You've neither stopped out, nor have you gotten the profit target, so this isn't an entry. Now, if you weren't, for some reason, in this long, then you would have gotten short there. And in fact, if you got short here, this one becomes not an entry because you were already in that trade. So it's pretty straightforward here. 4 bars. If the slope matches on the turn, you take it in that direction. And there were 11 entries today. So I did want to show the trades. I did want to talk a little bit about clarifying the method and things like that. But just like I reminded everyone in the room today, I want to remind you now, this isn't about the trades. This week is about you, your thoughts, your impulses, your feelings, your belief systems, and your overall mental framework. Go back, watch the video again, come up with more affirmations. Some of your list of affirmations I can see are kind of along the same theme, or some of them were kind of outside what I taught in mental framework. So really try and go through it again. Maybe pause the video this time through when you hear one and you say, oh, I want to make an affirmation for that. Write it down in real time there and then continue the video. So stay committed to the challenge this week. Normally, I think these nightly reports are going to be much more valuable to you, just FYI. I'll be highlighting really key sequences of the NADRO technical aspect of things from markets. This week, a little bit less so because I can't, directly comment on each of your mental frameworks, right? But I will highlight the trades, and I will give you some tidbits each night on mental framework. So remember to redefine what it means to win. Focus on trading well. And this week, if you want to win this week, it's about this exercise. It's about the executions with affirmations. It's about journaling. It's about getting in touch with these belief systems that are so important for everything else we're going to do for the next 6 weeks.